If you're thinking about moving to North Idaho, this is the real story behind its housing market. So in this video, we're going to kind of look a little bit at what's going on there in the North Idaho area. What does that housing market look like? And we're going to get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and subscribe below, tap that bell so you can be notified every time we talk about anything going on here in the North Idaho area. So let's talk about the market overview real quick. So current medium home prices in Coeur d'Alene is about $508,500. We look at Hayden, it's about $540,000. Post Falls, a little lower than $515,000. But if we head up to Sandpoint, it's $650,000. So as you can see, there are some different price ranges depending on where you want to be at. Now, those price ranges, of course, that's just a medium. So price ranges in this area, the closer that you get to places like the lake's a big one, whether you're in Hayden, Coeur d'Alene, Sandpoint, any of that, closer you get to the water, the more expensive it's going to be. So location. Also, different home amenities and some of that type of stuff is really going to play into some of that. But just to kind of give you an idea, at those medium price range, it really makes it hard if you're a first-time home buyer or something like that, coming into this area, trying to buy a home. Just know that there's going to be some pain points, and we understand that. Hey, I'm Reed Wilson with Revealing North Idaho. Me and my team, we talk to people every day that are looking to make a move to the North Idaho area. So if you have any questions that we can help out with, or you've got some interest in the North Idaho area, well, we'd love to talk to you. Please feel free to download my free relocation guide. Gives you all the information you need to help make a decision on if this is maybe a place that might work for you. House prices have really made a huge change. Just even in the last 3 to 5 years, we have seen prices trend upwards anywhere from 25 to 50%, and in some areas a little bit higher. So if we do compare though with areas like some of our neighboring states like Washington, now Washington does have some certain areas with higher prices like Liberty Lake or South Hill, but generally prices are lower, land costs less. We're not seeing the same demand in the areas like the Spokane area with Liberty Lake, South Hill, some of those. So, you know, we could say that the same house and size of ground here in North Idaho versus what you can get that over in the Spokane area or even just outside the Spokane area could mean the difference of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, maybe where you feel like your values lie, what kind of quality of life you're looking for. So we've done a lot of other videos on that, but just know there are some areas there that you can get into for a lot less money. You are going to pay higher taxes over there versus here in Idaho. But there are also some areas outside of this Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls, Sandpoint, Hayden areas that as you get a little further out, we do see some lower price points. But overall, the trending of these big towns is pushing it up everywhere because we talked a little bit about this on our last video that we're seeing a lot of people moving out of these higher priced areas and out to some of these smaller towns, which is changing the supply and demand there also and pushing some of those prices up. But, you know, if you're going to look in Missoula, that Whitefish area, compared to Montana has a lot of rural areas, so you can still get into some areas out there. They're going to have a lot of the same issues that we're seeing in our Sandpoint, Coeur d'Alene areas because these are more sought after. I don't know if you would call Missoula resort area, but certainly it has a big attraction. But, you know, Whitefish, and some of those areas certainly attract a lot of the same type of people as we're probably seeing here in the Coeur d'Alene area. So just know that as you're looking and comparing to some of these other states, we're not going to see a huge difference probably going over into the Montana area, but certainly you can find some different price points going into the Washington area. But then again, we're also looking at, like I said, different tax bases, different politics, and some of these other things. So our North Idaho, particular Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint, has just seen some substantial housing price increases, whereas, well, like we're saying, whereas in a lot of these, like in western Montana, especially areas like Missoula and Whitefish, have mirrored that same trend. Another thing we want to talk about is the breakdown by average price range. So our average sales price range in Coeur d'Alene is about $621,326. In Hayden, we're seeing that a little bit higher at $700,407. And then in Post Falls, $570,516. And then Sandpoint is at the highest at $790,281. So we are seeing a little bit of a difference in the average sales price versus the medium sale price, just because when we get into that medium, you get some of these properties like maybe a mobile home in a park that's $80,000 versus how much of that is sold compared to what's being sold, like in these larger areas. We got, especially in the Sandpoint, Coeur d'Alene, and we even see a lot of that in the Hayden area where, a lot of these really high priced properties, over $1 million in a lot of these subdivisions, that changes that really brings up that average sales price. Post Falls has a lot of beautiful homes, but the land is also a little more less expensive. Same with like Rathdrum. And so in some of those areas, if you're looking just to kind of move in more into like a subdivision or something like that, you're going to find some lower price points that maybe make things a little more attractive and affordable. So types of properties that we're seeing available, we have everything up here, like we mentioned, from a mobile home in a park, manufactured homes, condos, whether it's in kind of more of a subdivision area or overlooking the lake or the river. We see a lot of these subdivisions that are popping up that offer a lot of great amenities and in wonderful areas. And we've done some different videos on what I consider some of the best subdivisions here in the area. If I was going to move here for the first time, I would be happy to, recommend any of those. Take a look, but we do have some different videos about what we think are the top subdivisions here in the area. And then we're also seeing, as far as properties, a lot of these homes, people are still going out. They want some space, they want some privacy, and so they're buying acreage, homes on anywhere from 1 acre to up to the 5, but we see a lot of 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres. A lot of these bigger parcels in the 20 acres and above, we're not seeing as much because a lot of that property, as the density changes, they're allowing some of those properties to now be broken down. And of course, as an investor or seller or something like that, you're going to want to maximize. And so we're seeing a lot of those being broken down into smaller parcels and sold off. So it is getting harder to find the big parcels, but they are still out there. We have a great idea where to look. Of course, a lot of those are going to put you outside of town, but usually that's why you're looking for that type of parcel, because you want the privacy, be able to do what you want out there, have that extra room to stretch out, whether it's just the privacy or you've got animals, horses, anything like that. So we do still see a lot of that. Also, we do see some of these, there are some great little hidden gem locations we'd be happy to share with you that are now popping up that I think are a great value in some of these, or at least put you close to a lot of wonderful amenities that I think are fantastic. Thinking about relocating to the North Idaho area? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I've linked it down below. From top employers, the best hospitals, and a whole lot more information of things that you need to know before making the move. The best part is this guide is 100% free. That's right, it's 100% free. Just click the link in the description below or the top pinned comment Hope this helped. What we're running into, some of the challenges that we see out there is one, interest rates. Interest rates has played a huge role in what's going on. I think that's why we don't see as many homes on the market right now. A lot of people that typically would be looking to move up and sell are hanging on to that 2 and 3% interest rate. I can't hardly blame them, because to look at going up to that 6-7% and into a more expensive home, well, I think a lot of people are opting to hang on to what they have, even if they're kind of outgrowing it. They're just kind of allowing those pain points a little bit, just so that they don't have to try to go into higher price budget and whatnot. So those are things that we're seeing. We are seeing right now, of course, we're getting back into the springtime, so the market kind of heating up a little bit. And I have noticed, which has been a little bit strange, is multiple offers on some of these properties, especially the really nice ones. If they're priced correctly, we're getting multiple offers. Well, the downside to that is when we start seeing the multiple offers, the buyers are losing some of their negotiation of being able to maybe negotiate for closing costs or to help with a rate buy down or some of those types of things. So those do play into some of the challenges that are going there. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or any buyer that's not paying cash, get pre-approved. Get an idea of what that budget's going to look like before you go out and start looking. Have a good idea of what you're looking for. There's nothing worse than falling in love with a home that you think is going to work for you, and it's out of your price range, or it's enough of a pain point that you just may not want to pull that trigger. So finding out, it does give you a more competitive edge when you go in, especially these homes, like I said, that are now getting, in some cases, some multiple offers. You're going to have to be ready to go, because they're not going to wait around for you to get pre-approved over the next week when they're already getting offers. So that is something to maybe think about. Also, some of these that we see are off market or that we see that are a good value is might give you the opportunity to jump on before everybody else does. And so sometimes there's a competitive edge just by knowing what you can afford and being able to have the approval to back that up. Here in North Idaho, there are a lot of financing options. We've got some great lenders that we work with. In our relocation guide, you can click on there to go in and get pre-approved. But up here, we see a lot of the VA, we see a lot of conventional. There is still a lot of first-time homebuyer programs going on. Idaho will contribute and do a grant for your down payment, so you could actually walk in zero down. And if we get in and negotiate it the correct way, a lot of cases, we can negotiate those closing costs. So you're actually coming in with very little money down. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing or it's your first time, just know there is a program out there for you. There's programs for manufactured homes, for mobile homes, for just land, if you want to buy some land and look at, or if you're an investor and you're looking at maybe adding to your portfolio, you want to do something that you can come visit, but you also want it to be cash flowing, maybe a condo or a little home in downtown that you can do some short-term rentals. So just know there's a lot of different options out there that allow you to buy a home. If you have questions, like I said, reach out. My team and I, we're never too busy for you. Like I said, download our free relocation guide. And as always, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We're happy to chat with you because we want to help make your move to North Idaho a smooth transition.